Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
Minute 101. So we got lyrics here. We also have a negative. I'll start with the negative because let's just get that out of the way. It pisses me off that they have Trees by Joyce whatever Gilmer in the credits and it says use with permission. That anyone actually sought to get permission for Phil to say only God can make a tree is so fucking stupid. A, that poem is not in that book. That poem did not deserve a reference in the film, but also referencing that line from a poem, that's just popular culture. That's not the poem. You're not stealing their ideas by quoting that line. And it pisses me off that anyone in any legal department thought that they needed permission to do that. It pisses me off that maybe they did need permission to do that. It's one line of a poem. People need to get over their shit. You can't copyright specific lines like that. Anyway, lyrics. Cold was the word we held on at the end of the last minute. Winds blowing, snowing, driving everyone insane. Hard rains falling, pitter-patter down your window pane. It's a nice little imagery going here. Feels bad with the winds blowing, snowing, driving people insane. Hard rains falling, but then pitter-patter. Makes it sound nice. If precipitation is spoiling all your plans, that's a great line. Just call information up, 'cause I'm your weatherman. Check the weather. See how the day's gonna be before you go out.
This morning, snow, ice, and frigid temperatures sweeping across the nation. 20 states under a state of emergency. That's more than 190 million Americans with some sort of winter weather alert. From Kansas to Tennessee, snow first blanketed major roads Saturday. In St. Louis, Missouri, several cars and semi-trucks crashed, spilling cargo all over the road. Similar scenes on Interstate 44. City firefighters battling this fire in sub-zero wind chills. People that were evacuated were moved to warming shelters. In Tennessee, officials warning of dangerous travel as freezing rain and sleet now accumulate.
This is just turning back to ice. Please stay off the roadways.
In Nashville, watch as the city bus slides off the road, narrowly missing 2 crashed cars and knocking down a utility pole. Crews in Oklahoma working diligently to de-ice roads and restore power lines.
We'll just keep going around the clock, and as the snow falls, we'll continue to plow.
In Texas, cars stuck along the Woodall-Rogers Freeway in downtown Dallas after the Dallas Mavs game let out Saturday night. The cold air over the warmer water in the Guadalupe River creating steam. Freezing rain encasing cars, roads, and sidewalks in Florence, Alabama. And that accumulating ice is where we expect power outages.
You'll start to see things such as the cross arms break, even pole tops can tumble when you get around that inch of accumulation on the line.
The biggest threat right now continues to be the ice.
This storm is just getting started in the Northeast for a messy Sunday ahead. State leaders urging people to stay inside.
Then we're getting some backward people saying just ask the weatherman.
I didn't know how to repair that line. I called them backward people instead of background singers. That was rude. Inadvertently, but rude. Also, given that weather report, which is current to when I'm editing this episode, and this week, as this episode comes out, stay safe out there. Back to the song.
When it's cold outside, call your weatherman. When it's cold outside, I can warm you up. I can do a baby. And in the background, they just keep saying, just ask the weatherman. The song isn't great. This moment of the song isn't great, but it fades out and whatever, it's done. So what can I say about Groundhog Day that I haven't already said? Ooh. I had like a many-minute monologue about this when it was, minute 100 or... Yeah, because I think they stopped at 100. They didn't do an extra minute for the other minute of credits. On Groundhog Minute with Sean German and Dave Pallas. I was the guest for part of God Day for 3 episodes, and then I was the guest on episode 100. Or was it their numbering system and it was the last minute? It might have been their numbering system because they started with 0 and then 1, 2, 3. They didn't start with minute 1. They called it minute 0. I was on their last episode anyway. And there was this long monologue I had in there, and I don't even remember what I said. I haven't listened to it in a while. I thought of listening to it yesterday just so I could kind of convey some of those ideas.
Here's a little piece of that.
I believe Tierney a couple days ago called it a great background movie. For a lot of people, that's what this movie is. It's a nice, comfortable movie, easy to watch, easy to enjoy, and then you forget about it. But if you don't buy the romantic comedy, if you don't buy the love story that's ending in this last scene, then afterward you'll start thinking, well, why did that happen? What did Phil do to get Rita to like him? What did Phil do to end the time loop? Because we don't know. The movie never tells us. And for that matter, how the hell did Phil figure out how to be a better person? How can I be a better person? And it starts becoming this personal exercise for you if you spend enough time with the movie, like you two have, like I have. And it's a fairy tale that needs a happy ending, but it also is something else that is asking us to add our own ending.
But I don't want to convey the old ideas. I want to convey the new ideas. What is the point of Groundhog Day? What is the point of a Connors loop? What's the point of a time loop at all? I mean, as I said a couple episodes ago, all movies are kind of time loops because we can always just watch them again. If you don't like the ending, you can go back and start at the beginning again and have the experience, or you can forget it and move on to something else. You can make any story into a time loop by experiencing it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a 400th time, 450th time, whatever I'm on with Groundhog Day. I don't know the exact number anymore. So why do we tell stories that are time loops? Why do they fascinate us? Why do we tell any genre? We need lots of different kinds of stories because the more variety we get, the more we can experience the world in microcosm. And, the music of life includes other people. I said that a few episodes ago. Movies are part of that music. It's a way of experiencing people that are different than us. Whatever circle you're in your regular life, whatever job you have, whatever hobbies you have, whatever friend group you have, it's good to see people that aren't in those groups. It's good to see people outside those groups. And so you go see movies. You don't see movies just about people just like you. That helps because it gives you the in psychologically. But you need to watch things about other people. You need to watch people struggling through things. You need to watch Phil Connors, the sarcastic asshole, learn to be a better man. Because it might give you the incentive to make yourself a better person. Phil needed the adolescent phase in his time loop because if you're actually stuck in a time loop or you just suddenly have the opportunity to try some new things in your life outside of a time loop, in reality, of course you're going to try new things. You're going to have fun. You're going to do the selfish stuff when you can. But eventually you have to learn that enjoyment becomes empty over time. And you're going to hit that wall where Phil was killing himself and killing himself and killing himself. You're going to hit a wall where you want to just go sit at a bar and drink. That about sums it up for me. Every day is the same. Nothing that you do matters. But then you pick yourself up. You need to have inspiration. You need to experience stories, play games, hang out with people, spend time appreciating what other people have going on, even if it's fictional people. Parasocial relationships, studies have shown, can have basically the same effect on us as actual social relationships. Parasocial meaning the relationship we have with a fictional character. In jest, I did a blog entry where I was talking about how I was in a relationship with Groundhog Day. I actually used a survey from some magazine about how to tell when you're in a relationship or something like that. And all my answers were yes. But you can be in a relationship with anything, really. All it takes is expectation and familiarity. I've watched this movie so many times, I have to list it among my favorites, even when I don't like it. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I love this movie. It has problems, but everything has problems. Nothing's perfect. The goal should be to try to be closer to perfect, to try to be better, to try to make the world better around you, to try to make the people better around you, to try to do good things for yourself and for everyone that you care about. And for people that you don't care about. I said my final thoughts about the movie, I wouldn't get into the political rant like 2 episodes ago. Part of it has to be that, because what is the point to a movie like this unless we actually put thought into what it takes to be a better person? Is a better person the fucking Republicans in this country right now that think it's okay to just kick people out of the country because they happen to come here desperate for a better life? And they didn't do it through proper channels. But even worse, we're also deporting people that are going through the proper channels, and ICE is showing up at their fucking hearings and stealing them in the hallway and telling their attorneys outright, allegedly, in one incident, I have to take someone, so pick a client. Like, that's not a direct quote, but that was the story. Is that they told an attorney, I'm taking one of your clients, you pick which one. And that is fucked up, inhumane bullshit. And people who support that, people are like, I voted for this. You are a horrible person if you voted for this.
Jumping in again to remind you that this was recorded last July. Arguably, it's only gotten worse since then. And rather scarily, despicably awful quite recently.
And yes, in my final episode, I'm going to call you a horrible person. Because chances are the people that I'm calling horrible weren't listening to this show. Because they don't care about this movie. They don't care about listening to me. Because I probably said some political shit in an early episode, like first 5 minutes of this movie, that pissed them off. And I talk about sex and violence in the movies, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember what I said. I haven't listened to any of these episodes yet. I checked to make sure the audio was working, and then I'm like, I'm going to edit. Oh, that was the other thing I needed to talk about last week, is I also have to clean up the audio on 101 episodes of this show and set them to start releasing August 2nd, which is the 12th anniversary of the blog starting. People support horrible things for horrible reasons, and it's disgusting, and it's sad, and it's painful, especially when you feel powerless to do anything about it. And so you just want to get through your day, and then you feel like you're somehow party to it because you're not doing anything to stop it. But then you're like, what can I do to stop it? Because it takes more than just one person doing something. It takes collective action. It takes collective caring. And Americans, if you're outside this country listening to this, I hope your country's better. But I'm speaking as an American. Most Americans don't care enough about other people. They probably care about their family and their friends, and then everyone else is just like, no, I got mine, fuck you. Like the people who are like, no, I had to pay for my education, so you shouldn't get your student loans forgiven. Yes, you absolutely should, and everyone should want student loans to be forgiven. If right now they would forgive every student loan but mine, I would still support that, because it will improve the economy and it will improve lives. It will make people's lives better if they don't have that extra debt hanging over their head. Because that shit affects your, what? Doesn't that affects your credit rating, right? If you owe money on student loans, and credit ratings are bullshit. Turning people into numbers to value what they are worth for paying for stuff, when a lot of the stuff they're going to have to pay for is like paying rent to some landlord that owns way too much property and is just keeping property away from poorer people that need a place to live. If people are like, no, just by coming to this country, they're criminals, so they have to be deported. Fuck you. These are just people living their lives. These are people that we depend on most of the time. If some of them are violent murderers who are part of gangs, should the authorities do something to stop them from being that? Arguably, yes. Some sort of authority should exist in a population this big. We can't just shun people in a population of 300 million plus. 330 or whatever it is officially now. Or however many billions the world is now. You can't just shun people in populations that large. So you need some other way to deal with people and deal with people that are problems. But also, you know how you deal with those people? You don't create more problems. If you deport them to countries they're not in, all you're doing is angering people, making people miserable, breaking up families, and you're creating worse situations in the future. You're not improving the future. You're not fixing anything. Phil going out and lying to get Nancy into his bed, or, well, I don't know if they ever made it to the bed, but to get Nancy back to his room is not a real relationship, and he needed to do better. He needed to actually put an effort into caring about these people and not just manipulating people into these situations. That's why he doesn't lie to Rita on the last day. He offers to give her explanations, and I don't think he gives them, but that's because time doesn't permit it, and the movie doesn't permit it, because we don't want that to get in the way of Rita's experience of Phil on that last night, and Phil's experience of Rita, and our experience of Phil and Rita. We don't need an extra conversation about the time loop. The time loop's done at that point, and we should be moving on. We should be seeing the magic of the movie, and really hoping for that kind of magic in our lives. And really, I personally would hope for that kind of magic in everybody's lives. Because if there was more magic in more people's lives and more of us cared about other people, then other people's lives would be better. And people who actively vote and actively cheer on making anyone's life worse or actively killing people, that sucks. You suck. And the world has gotten so dark that there are times where I'm like, you know, the only way out of this might be to kill this other person or kill these other people. And that's a horrible thought to have, but it's an understandable thought to have because that is the world we've created. Where often the only time to solve anything is with excessive force, violence, or coercive force, if not violence. Like economic force, creating so much hardship for poor people in this country that all they can do is just live day to day and barely get by because they have to struggle to make their rent. And so they don't have time for fun hobbies. They don't have time for the joy that comes from trying new things. If they're lucky, they have a cell phone and they have internet access, so they can at least watch some TikTok or YouTube or talk on social media or maybe watch some TV, movies. And I get that. I mean, I watch so many movies, but it's part of that is procrastinating from doing some of the other creative things I wish I was doing. Because once I do those, I have to figure out what to do with them. I wrote a novel last year that I kind of love. I wrote a screenplay in the last year, that I love. I've written novels before and stories before that didn't get published. I've written screenplays that I like before. And all of those things sitting around, it just makes it harder for each new thing I want to write, because what's the point of writing things if there's no audience for them? But also I don't know how to get an audience for them. And it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy where if you think, like Phil with thinking he's too good for his job, if he thinks he's too good for his job, then he's actually not good enough for his job. Or he is, in some ways, too good for his job. He doesn't fit his job anymore. It's not that he's too good for it. It means that he just doesn't fit. Except the things you can't change. You know, I have problems with the way AA works a lot because it kind of demands a belief in God. And that's a problem because it gets a little too specifically Christian. But the idea that you need to have, the wisdom to know the difference. There's something...
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I don't know. You need to change the things you can change the things about yourself if you can't change the things outside yourself. And just have a better attitude and be better to the people around you. Because you know what happens when you're better to the people around you? The people around you will be better to you. I think it's one of the problems with Donald Trump is no one has ever been good to him. All he gets now is blind devotion and his cabinet members praising him stupidly and disingenuously, I hope. I hope they don't believe that shit. That says some horrible things about them. But he's never had people actually caring about him, I don't think, including like his parents. Doesn't he have a brother? Never hear about his brother. Or is he an only child? I don't know. He was a spoiled rich kid, though. And then he went into real estate, which was a horrible thing to get into if you don't have empathy and don't have people in your life, because real estate is all about just borrowing and spending, and you're constantly spending money you don't have while essentially claiming assets that you sort of have. And so you play something bigger than you are all the time, and it turns him into this egocentric black hole that sucks everything else into it and destroys everything so he can praise himself. He needs a fucking time loop. This is the end of the show. Months from now, you're listening to this thing I recorded in mid-July, and I can't imagine that it's any better. I imagine that it's a lot worse. And I just want to make someone's day a little brighter. I want to be entertaining, but it's the last episode, and I drifted. Message of the movie, fix your shit, man. Fix your shit. Don't pretend that your shit is better than anyone else's. You are not too good for your job. I mean, maybe you are. And if it's possible to get a different job, cool. But don't just treat your own position in life with disdain because you have self-esteem issues or you don't value yourself enough. When Phil says, I don't even like myself, I believe him. And I've been there. I've had many times in my life where I did not like myself. I still do have those days sometimes, or those moments. If that's your deal, figure out how to change that. It's not going to be the exterior stuff necessarily. It's just the way you see the world, the way you treat other people. I don't believe in karma as an actual thing, but I do believe that stuff you put out into the world sort of, if it doesn't come back to you, it does spread out and it makes the world better if you're spreading good things. So I'd like to be entertaining. I'd like to review movies or do more movies by minute shows or whatever I do. I'd like to write stories and hope that people would enjoy them and it would make their lives better. So I have a problem with some horror films, for example, that I find to be a little too sadistic and cynical, pessimistic, where it feels like even their messaging is just everything sucks, so why not have horrible gore and despicable happenings? Then again, I love horror films generally. I love time loop movies and TV things. I'm sorry I didn't have time loop of the week for all these, but it would have been really hard to try to do that because I never knew how many episodes I was going to record at a given time. But that is minute 101 of Groundhog Day. The credits are over. The screen has gone black. From Los Angeles, it's Robert E.G. Black. So long.
Knew you were going to say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?